to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show that is purpose-built to kickstart your weekend. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, this is going to be the best one yet by a long, long way. It's time for you to settle down, tuck into the Friday Night Feast. Yeah, sit down, get yourself a G&T, you know, grab some crisps, grab your nuts for all I care. But over the next 2 hours, we'll be tackling some of the big talking points which have been in the news this week, including NASA's decision to officially start studying UFOs, plus naked cyclists from Southampton featuring round your parts, quite literally in this case, presumably. And there's all the other usual items as well. Challenge Christys, you're not going to be disappointed about this one, let me tell you. This week, I've been trying my hand at Pottery, that's right, in order to make a belated Jubilee gift for Her Majesty the Queen. And of course, if you're doing pottery, you've got to recreate the scene from Ghost with what was essentially my mate Tom, right? So there we go. And I didn't get excited. Anyway, I'll bring you an exclusive report from West London, where pro-dinosaur campaigners have been protesting against the screening of the latest Jurassic Park film. We were there. We were live on the scene. And, of course, everyone's favourite bit of the show, it's Dog of the Week. That's right, where tonight we are asking if you can be a hero and offer forever home to the gorgeous Kobe. As it currently stands, of all of the Dogs of the Week that we've had, more of them have now been euthanised and rehomed. So if you wouldn't mind, people, all right, please, for the love of God, give this dog a home. Anyway, right now it's your news with Ray.
Thanks, Patrick. Yes, I'm Ray Addison in the GB newsroom. The Home Secretary has welcomed a High Court decision refusing an injunction to halt a deportation flight to Rwanda next week. Almost 100 legal challenges had been made against the government's policy, with lawyers arguing that the country is not safe. That's a statement that Priti Patel has denied. Around 31 migrants are now due on the first flight next Tuesday. However, the judge has granted permission to appeal. That could be heard as early as Monday. So Keir Starmer says his party will vote against the government's plan to override elements of the Northern Ireland Protocol when it's brought to the Commons on Monday. After meeting with political leaders in Northern Ireland, the Labour leader said he believes the deadlock over power sharing can be resolved through negotiation. The DUP is refusing to form an executive in protest against the protocol. Ukraine's foreign minister says they will work with Britain to ensure the release of 2 men sentenced to death in the separatist region of Donetsk. Aidan Aslin and Sean Pinner, both British citizens, were found guilty of mercenary activities by a court there. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss described the verdict as a sham. Boris Johnson has ordered ministers to do everything in their power to bring them home. Deputy Director for Research at Amnesty International, Denis Kryoshev, says Russia must respect the men's rights.
This is not a trial. There should be no decision which is called death penalty, which it isn't. And they should be treated as any prisoners of war under the Geneva Conventions. None of that is happening. That's what must happen. So cancel that decision. Don't pretend it's a trial, and provide them with their rights which they have as prisoners of war.
A manhunt is underway after a teenager was stabbed to death at his home in Manchester. The mother of the 15-year-old boy was also treated for serious injuries and is now in a stable condition in hospital. Police have described the attack, which happened in Miles Platting, as ferocious. They're looking for an Asian man in his 40s who was known to the victims. They've warned the public not to approach him. A recording of an ex-soldier telling a 999 operator that he'd killed his neighbours has been released.
Neighbour's been stabbed by who?
By me.
By you?
Yes.
Jurors at Bristol Crown Court heard the clip where Colin Reeves admitted stabbing Jennifer and Stephen Chappell to death in November last year. Other footage appears to show the neighbours clashing over a parking space taken 10 days before the ex-commando killed the couple at their home in Somerset. Reeves has denied murder but admitted manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. On TV, online and on DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now stay tuned because Patrick and those Friday night feasters coming up next.
Oh, a very good evening, everybody. This, of course, is Friday Night Feast, and strap yourselves in, because I've got a feeling this might be the best one yet. But let's get stuck in to what I think has been the major issue, certainly for a lot of you people watching, listening on our radio, or, of course, watching online as well. Why are we so afraid of offending certain hardline elements of the Muslim community? Because it can turn very aggressive very quickly, can't it? So we just tend to back off and mutter something under our breath like, oh, it's just not really worth it. Well, it is worth it, actually, because, frankly, I'm absolutely sick of it. Check this out. One of the people backing the blockade of a film that depicts the Prophet Muhammad and his daughter is an advisor to the government on Islamophobia. Seriously, you just couldn't make this stuff up, could you? So the government is being advised on Islamophobia by a man who essentially supports medieval blasphemy laws. I mean, I hate to break the news to these people, but we don't have medieval blasphemy laws in this country. There are some countries that do, so may I politely suggest that they may feel more at home in one of those nations. A bit of helpful advice to this lot. Google the words Gatwick and airport and then just crack on, OK? Bradford, where one of these protests is taking place, is about to become the UK city of culture. Well, what culture is that, then? A Sharia-based culture, is it? I don't know. Maybe a culture without freedom of speech? I mean, you know what really stands out to me in all of this, apart from the madness of it all, of course? Why aren't they all at work? So hundreds of people can just gather outside cinemas in 4 or 5 cities across the UK, and none of them felt the need to be at work that day. It's interesting, that, isn't it? Anyway. We don't have blasphemy laws here in the UK, like I've said. We are a fantastically diverse country and a multicultural one, and that is a tremendous quality, and I genuinely mean that. I think some people would say it puts the great into Great Britain. But we're not a Muslim country by definition, OK? We're just not. So do you think that if I moved to Pakistan, for example, and there was a film that portrayed the baby Jesus in an unflattering light, and I started to protest about it, do you think anything would really happen about that? No, of course not. So why do some of these people expect that to happen over here? Whilst I can completely understand that it might be offensive to Muslims to depict the Prophet Muhammad, I personally am in no rush to depict the Prophet Muhammad, OK? It isn't illegal in this country, though, and we do live in this country. The solution to being offended for a lot of hardline elements of the Muslim community, and I want to stress here it's hardline elements, I'm absolutely not trying to bracket everyone into the same category because that's just wrong, frankly, is to just mob up, use threats like mafia-style tactics to get their own way. Sorry, but enough is enough now as far as I'm concerned, and I find it quite offensive, actually, that there does appear to be a rather large group of people who are more than happy to reap the benefits that this country has to offer and then also want to fundamentally change our norms and values. I find it very, very rude. Yes, well, welcome back. High time we met tonight's guests, of course, and I am absolutely delighted to say that I am joined by author and journalist and curator of the best YouTube video clip I have ever seen. It's the one and only Peter Lloyd, ladies and gentlemen. Peter, lovely to meet you. Can I just say, Peter, I get emails in here asking to get you on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I really wish my parents wouldn't email the show. I find that really embarrassing. But Mum and Dad, thank you very much. I really appreciate the support and, you know, keep up the good work.
Well, it's worked. It's worked.
I mean,
anyway.
it's clearly worked.
It has clearly worked. And also an absolute legend, and I hope a pleasure to be able to call a friend as well. Skido Fox's very own Christian Cowgie. How are you?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to the weekend.
It's your first time on the show as well, isn't it? Both of you. First time.
It's Virgin.
Well, I think that deserves a cheers. Nothing else does. So, happy Friday, everybody. Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Great to have you all on the show.
Look how much I've drunk compared to you guys.
Well, last long, mate. Don't worry about that.
Espresso.
Right, so, OK, right, well, let's start talking, obviously, about what I've just mentioned there. So, it's the cine world stuff, OK? How do you feel about it, Peter? The protests?
Well, obviously it's depressing, but at the same time, of course, these protesters have the right to protest.
Yeah, absolutely.
We live in a free country, so I'm fine with them protesting, even though I think that they're wrong, their motivations are wrong. But what really annoys me, and what probably annoys most of the people watching the show, is that Cineworld caved when really what they needed to do was grow a great big pair of hairy balls.
Yeah.
And I really wish...
It's taken you 5 minutes to use the phrase great big pair of hairy balls. And we love to see it. Carry on.
It's just going to get better from here. You know? It's like, you know, when... anyway.
That's not.
No, I'm really frustrated that... that Cineworld didn't have the courage to stand up to the mob and say, look, we are a Christian nation first and foremost, but also we're a nation that believes in free speech and Western values. And, of course, none of you have to go and see the film, which is another key point, because most of the protesters who were there, they've not even seen the film.
Well, you can't now at Cineworld, by definition.
Right, but, I mean, how ridiculous is that? If there were anybody from Cineworld watching this right now, I would say to them, look, it's not just up to individuals like us or other journalists to uphold Western values. It's big corporations,
massive,
who make a lot of money in these situations.
And Calgie, I'll bring you in now, mate. I suppose I'll get your overarching views on it. Really, what's your thoughts?
Well, the Cineworld's response is the key here, right? Because we can have a very university philosophical debate, right, about how do we weigh up freedom of speech versus freedom of religion. The reality is here, actually, there isn't any clash. You can have both. You know, I keep saying the phrase Muslims have been offended by it. Well, I'd be very, very surprised if any Muslims have been personally offended, because I don't think they've seen it, and they don't have to see it. You know, that's the beauty of the freedom. We're not forcing them to watch it, but it's the response so often by corporate entities, you know, bowing to the first bout of pressure when actually it's a tiny minority. And how often do we see it's not just this issue, it's you know, trans issues, it's all sorts of issues where actually the quiet majority are absolutely fine with what's going on, and they don't seem to understand how to, you know, their PR teams, who are, you know, probably university educated, quite middle class, quite metropolitan, they just bow at the first sign of pressure. And I think that's what we find really frustrating, is actually it's not a debate of free speech on both sides. It feels like we're sort of shouting into the void, and we're the more difficult position for these corporate entities to back up.
So later on in the show, lads, right, so I decided that I was going to stage my own protest outside a cinema earlier on, which I did, right? And so, look, you're going to look forward to this, by the way. So what we decided to be offended about was Jurassic World, because obviously dinosaurs, I mean, you don't find any dinosaurs in the Bible, for a start, so it desecrates, as far as I can see, the traditional story of humanitarian origin. And I was livid about this. Now, I was absolutely fuming, Calgie. And we decided to go and stand outside a View in Shepherd's Bush and conduct our own protest. And you know what? Most people who walked past looked at the signs that we were saying and said, because we had 4 people with placards.
Wow.
And most people said, yeah, maybe we should cancel this film.
Viva la revolution. 4 people.
Most people that walk past were like, yeah, that's enough for me. Well, it kicks off, obviously, so we have to cancel this. But anyway, there's loads more coming up. Obviously, you've got that to look forward to. But let's now move on to another important story, anyway, of course, which has been in the news this week. So, singer Cliff Richard and DJ Paul Gambaccini, I'll do, I think, there we go. And they are among, apparently, the campaigners who want to change in the law so sexual offence suspects are granted anonymity before they are charged, right? OK, so both men were previously falsely accused of historical sexual offences. And at the moment, alleged victims of sexual offences receive lifelong anonymity, but there is no law against naming the suspects. And all too often, anyone who works in journalism will tell you this, all too often you get someone splashed over the front of the papers that goes so-and-so accused of this, and then you'll find them not guilty, and it's like a nib on page 32 or something. And I'm not sure that's really right, is it? But at the same time, of course, you don't then want to come out on the side of actual sexual offenders and be like, well, you deserve anonymity. If you're found guilty of something, you should be exposed for it, OK? So, or they're exposed, maybe is probably the poor turn of phrase. But I'm joined now by former Conservative MP Harvey Proctor, who was publicly named during a Scotland Yard investigation into fabricated claims, I mean, actually outrageous claims, actually, of a VIP paedophile ring at Westminster. And thank you very much, my good man, for joining us in the studio today. How are you, sir?
Good evening.
Good.
Very well.
Lovely to see you again. I know we spoke a few months ago on this, but it's kind of... This issue has reared its head again. I wanted to keep Calgie in the studio as well because you're a political animal, Calgie, so, you know, might as well have a good chat about this. Where do you stand on the issue of anonymity for people who are just accused of sexual offences?
Yes, I believe that there should be anonymity up to charge.
OK.
That's the important thing. I was never charged or arrested. However, on the day of my search, within an hour of 20 police officers coming into my home for 15 hours in a search which we now know is illegal. I know it's illegal because Sir Richard Enriquez, the chap, the retired High Court judge who considered these matters, declared them to be illegal. And the district judge who granted the search warrants said that the police lied to him to get the search warrants. So the search warrants were illegal. But within an hour of them coming into my home, the family liaison officer for Mr. Carl Beach, the star witness for the Metropolitan Police under Operation Midland, had telephoned him to say that he was in my house searching it. What? Carl Beach was himself very close with Exaro, with journalists. The Metropolitan Police knew that. And he was also very close with the Home Affairs correspondent of the BBC, Tom Simons, who showed him pictures of children that I was supposed to have murdered.
Good grief. And that got into the press in a big way, obviously, in a massive way. How did that feel?
Well, it wasn't so much the feel, but the actuality of losing my job, my home, my repute, virtually everything.
Did you find that most people believed the reports without talking to you, just naturally?
Well, the Metropolitan Police had held a press conference 3 months earlier to the search of my home when their superintendent went on television and radio and said that Carl Beach, he wasn't referred to as Carl Beach, he had anonymity, so he was referred to as Nick, that Nick was credible and true, which meant that the people who he had accused of doing things were guilty.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I just want to bring you in here, really. I mean, from your perspective, how do you feel about the likes of this? Because you must deal with a lot of issues here. Politicians, of course, have a varied life. Some of them can have a varied life, and so there appears to be anonymity in some cases, and clearly not in others.
Well, it's fantastically interesting and an apposite time to talk about this because, of course, we've just had a very prominent case of a major allegation being made, a Conservative MP being arrested over allegations and an investigation that's been going on for 2 years, who hasn't been named. And we've all had to revise our journalist law over this. And in February of this year, I believe it was, the High Court created a new rule, a new precedent, which sort of does ban journalists from naming people until they've been charged, exactly in this case. And I believe that was related to Cliff Richard, which is why I found it very interesting, because I've got to confess, this ruling had sort of passed me by, and I was very confused why certain allegations that had appeared in 2021 had resulted in instant naming prior to charge, this case in last month hadn't. And the morality of it is I can absolutely sympathise with why that might be the case. We're not based in Britain legally, so we don't.
Oh yes, of course.
We don't. Have to.
This is Guido Fawkes you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Now we are more of a case of whether we believe something or not, and we
that's fair enough.
By the way, we haven't accused anyone of anything. So we've gone with the consensus.
And that's fair enough. Do you feel, Harvey, that potentially when people think, I've got a name here now, I've got a name, and the police officer has told me that so-and-so, in your case, literally you, obviously, was accused of this kind of stuff, or your house was being raided, I suppose, a search. Do you think they give any consideration whatsoever to the mental health or well-being of the individual that they just slap out into the press?
Perfunctory. There was a so-called safeguarding officer who came into my house at the beginning of the 15 hours to make sure that I was OK.
How can you be OK?
But you can't be OK. But at that time, the police had said, you will not be named. they lied to me that day. Lied to me in that later that day they put out a confirmatory statement, not mentioning my name, but saying a man of a certain age living in the Grantham area, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then, as I said, it didn't matter because within an hour, one of those police officers was on the phone to my accuser, telling him, knowing he was in touch with the media, that they were in my house. I didn't realise at the time, but during the course of that day, while the police were still in my house, reporters from Exaro News Agency had rung my office and emailed my office wanting comment about the fact that the police were raiding my home.
Goodness gracious me.
But let me just say, I belong to an organisation called FAIR, Falsely Accused Individuals for Reform. What we're trying to do is to get the law returned to how it was, a balance between complainants, not victims, but complainants, and alleged suspects, both of whom up to charge should not be named. And there should be criminal charges made against those who identify a suspect before charge.
And presumably falsely accused as well. Well, I mean, there actually there has been a case of college, of course.
Of course, there are a lot of falsely accused
and that's
people.
The point.
And that's what I'm doing this for. I'm not now doing it for myself. The door is long gone on that.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that other people are not falsely accused and identified and their lives turned upside down.
And had to go what you went through. Now, I don't want to rake up the past too much, obviously, at Harvard, but, I mean, that must have been absolutely awful for you.
Yes, it is very difficult. And as a result of that, I got death threats. As a result of those, I felt that I couldn't safely live in the country. So I moved abroad for about a year, not to escape the police. I told my solicitors, they told the police that if they wanted me to come back, I would return immediately. And I did thereafter for 2 police interviews in June and August 2015. And but there I was. We now know the outcome. Hindsight is a great thing.
Of course.
But we now know. But at the time that I was abroad in Spain, I was expecting a knock on the door at any time to be extradited back to the UK, to be charged, face a court case, and knowing how stupid the Metropolitan Police have been in their investigation and all the information I knew about this investigation, even at that time, I thought there was a good chance that the jury would believe the police.
Yeah, well, look,
and I would be imprisoned, and I would be imprisoned for life.
Yeah, for what you're accused of, which of course was not true, right, and has been proven to not be true, and it was an absolute scandal that you're accused of it in the first place, is probably the worst thing you can ever be accused of.
Well, when...
Killing kids, basically.
Yes. When Mr. Beach was arrested and charged and went to a high court in Newcastle, the first charge for perverting the course of justice mentioned me by name.
Right. OK, well, I suppose what's the least they could do, I suppose, isn't it, really?
Well,
but
the jury convicted him on all charges, including that charge.
Good. Good. And here you are today. I must say it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And thank you very much, Harvey. You're always welcome, certainly, here at GB News. Great to have you on the show. Well, look, I want your views on that, of course, ladies and gentlemen. GB Views, gbnews.uk. 2 big topics to get stuck into right at the start of this show. We're talking about the Cineworld stuff with the protests about, I suppose, blasphemy laws, etc. And, of course, this, which is whether or not people who are accused of sexual offences should actually have anonymity up until the point of charge. So if you don't want to email in about that, then I'm sorry, nothing will tempt you. GBViews at gbnews.uk. Get those views coming in. We do post-person pat later, just the right side of copyright law, and we can actually have a chat about your views. Tweet us as well at GB News. But next, it's time for our big debate, and it's that issue that has everybody talking. Yes, hello everybody, Patrick Christys here, back out and about, as you can see, on the Paddington Riviera yet again. Right, now this week, one of the biggest news stories that's been doing the rounds has been about this film, Lady of Heaven, The Lady of Heaven. Anyway, there's been massive protests up and down the country, frankly, and actually Cineworld have now pulled the film. So I want to see what the British public think. Should we start cancelling things because people are offended?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah?
It's a shame you can't laugh anymore, right?
I do think it's gone way too soft. People need to, I think we need to rewind a bit and say, let's get a grip of ourselves a bit here.
Yes, absolutely. Cancel culture is terrible, I think.
Yeah, OK, fine.
Everyone makes mistakes.
I'm just asking whether or not you think people are a bit too easily offended these days.
Oh, I don't want to offend people.
What offends you?
Well, lots of things, but
You just get on with it?
I get on with it.
Yes, probably yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you think people are scared of causing other people offence? They don't say what they mean?
Without a doubt, yes.
Do you ever do that?
Almost certainly.
You do it?
Jokes, conversations, and I think they're quite offended.
Well, for once, ladies and gentlemen, we've basically got consensus, haven't we? Which is that everyone thinks this stuff is absolutely insane. We should not be bowing down to mob rule. I'll see you in the studio very, very shortly for a massive debate on this.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
A very good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Feast. Now, it's time for this. Yes, post person Pat again, just the right side of copyright laws, so you can back off. Anyway, Dawn says, yes, they have the right to protest. This is, of course, about what's been going on outside Cineworlds in 4 or 5 cities anyway across the UK. There is a film, I should say, really, that apparently depicts the Prophet Muhammad and I believe his daughter as well, and basically it's kicked off and caused quite widespread offence to certain elements of the Muslim community. But this is Dawn now. But we do not have any right to intimidate or threaten anyone. I think that's kind of where a lot of people might draw the line with this, really, where if it feels as though those protests are intimidating, and indeed the Cineworld company has said themselves that the reason why they hooked the film, allegedly, was because they felt as though their staff would be threatened, and that's a problem, OK? Anyway, Barry says, what wonderful publicity for the film The Lady of Heaven. I'd never heard of it before, but I want to see it now. All right, good stuff, Barry. Paul says, Patrick, don't forget that virtually all those who back down, cave in, concede, appease are English. It is the English character that is the root of this problem. Goodness gracious me, we've got a bit... You've gone You've gone deep there, Paul, I must say. It's quite a philosophical discussion, that, but there we go. Well, look, welcome back, obviously, to Friday Night Feast. As we discussed earlier on, UK cinema chain Cineworld has cancelled now showings of the film The Lady of Heaven. Branches, I should say, of the chain were picketed by Muslim activists who say that the film, which is apparently about the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad, is blasphemous, OK? So here to discuss this with me now is its executive producer of the film, so fantastic stuff, The Lady of Heaven, which is Malik Shlibak. Sorry, I think I might have desecrated your surname there. Apologies, my good man, but we'll give it a go second time round. And Dr. Sheikh Ramzi as well, Imam and Director of the Oxford Islamic Information Centre. I really, really appreciate you both coming on. I appreciate this is a bit of a tricky topic to talk about, OK, by definition, but let's just give it a go. So, Malik, your thoughts first and foremost. You're obviously directly involved with this film. How do you feel about, well, the fact that it's been cancelled by Cineworld?
Yeah, I think that's, of course, absurd. You know, the whole entire British public are united on this. It's crazy that there's even a debate about this matter. And, I mean, it's a film that people agree with and some disagree with, and why on earth should it be banned because a certain group are against it or offended by it?
OK, Dr. Sheikh Ramzi, I'll bring you in now. Of course, Imam and Director of the Oxford Islamic Information Centre. Yes. There does appear to be, to me anyway, quite an obvious solution to this. If you're offended by seeing a depiction of the Prophet Muhammad or indeed his daughter, then don't watch the film.
It's not as easy as that. God bless you. Before I start to say salam and peace to all brothers and sisters, Muslim or not. I believe the spreading. The important thing is not the film. The important is spreading the falsehood, bringing division. At the moment, of course, we have a producer. This is bringing division between two main sect of Islam. It's not just a hello, I want to do it, or I don't want to do it, or is it depend on the freedom of speech or freedom of talk or freedom of insult? The film is insulting the companion of the Prophet, and of course, if the companion of the Prophet been insulted, they insulted me. They are insulting Abu Bakr and Omar radiallahu anhu, which always the Shia sect has been, the extreme Shia sect has been insulting them. And these are the people.
Yeah, OK. All right, we'll come back to you. Don't worry, we'll come back to you.
I'd like Dr. Sheikh to allow me to put my views forward here. And, I mean, I want the guest here to think about what he is saying and just reflect for a moment. What you are saying, Dr. Sheikh, is that because you believe that these companions, Abu Bakr and Omar and Aisha, were righteous people, that means the rest of the world must succumb to your view. Dr. Sheikh, that is what the radicals are saying. Those who are holding up ISIS posters, the pro-Talibans that have been protesting all over the UK, they are saying, Dr. Sheikh, that...
I will let you come back on this, actually. Let him finish. I promise you, I will let you come back on this completely,
Dr. Sheikh, what they are saying is if you speak about these matters that we do not want you to speak about, we will threaten you with violence. You are regurgitating their viewpoint, Dr. Sheikh. So I have to ask, are you a radical? Do you allow others who disagree with your viewpoints to express themselves even though you disagree?
OK. All right, well, look, answer that then. You know, are you a radical?
My friend presenter, you shouldn't be biased. The very important thing is, these have a right to protest. And of course, the film at the moment showing the people who are looks radical. Let me tell you what is the thing is that 1,500 years is that we have that debate, we have that discussion. Why coming now? Why is getting falsehood? I tell you, the falsehood which about the Prophet, families, this is wrong. The lady of the heaven, I love her. I love her with my heart.
Okay.
You have been insulting her. You have been insulting her by saying he had been... Yes.
How? What? Yeah. So what is... Look, guys, just quickly. One thing I just want to say is, look, I'm obviously not Muslim, so I'm not quite across...
They say has been attacked. Has not been attacked.
Dr. Sheikh, if we can have a conversation, that would be brilliant.
It's impossible to be attacked. And of course he was the wife of Ali, the lion of God. Who could dare to attack her? Who could dare to insult her?
Just please educate me. Yeah, look, that's fine. Just come up for air for a second. Yeah. Please educate me. what is the actual point? Have you seen the film?
Can I address?
Hang on a second.
Sorry, yeah.
I haven't seen the film.
You haven't seen it?
I have
Right, you
heard
haven't
about
seen
it,
the film, have you?
No, I have seen. I do not want to see it. I have heard about it. What is insulting, and several people which saw the film, they say we saw the ladies of the heaven, Fatima radiallahu anha, being insulted. They have not been insulted.
We hear you loud and clear, Dr. Sheikh. Look, if I can bring some points
there is
in.
nothing. It's been man-made to division the Muslims. That's what I would like to mention here and stress.
Okay, look, hey, you are perfectly entitled to your view, and like I said, I'm not a Muslim, so I've got no right to tell you what should and shouldn't be offended about, I suppose, in a sense, but come back to all of that.
Dr. Sheikh, you have your opinion, and you're right, they are allowed to protest, but what they're not allowed to do is to say that others cannot express their vision and views of history because a certain group believe in a certain way. What I want to say, Dr. Sheikh, to you is that...
Just Dr. Sheikh, just let him talk.
What I want to say, Dr. Sheikh, is that ISIS, the group ISIS, infamously burnt the Jordanian pilot, if you can recall. And when they done so, they said that we done this because of our inspiration and what we've taught from Abu Bakr. Now, you might disagree. You might say this isn't true, they've misunderstood history. Oh, fine, that's all right. But there are hundreds of millions of people, Dr. Sheikh, that believe in this. They believe Abu Bakr was a tyrant, he was a criminal, and he is the one that gave birth to terrorism. So I ask you, why can't we...
Let him finish. Let him finish. Yeah, let him finish, otherwise you're off.
Dr. Sheikh, I ask you, why can't we express ourselves? And this whole scenario, Dr. Sheikh, it actually allows us to see the bullying that's been happening over the last 1,000 years to groups like Shia who want to just express their views. We've been killed for 1,000 years. Shia genocide is a real thing, Dr. Sheikh, and you are peddling the same rhetoric.
OK, look, right, fair enough. I hope you feel heard there, Malik. Dr. Sheikh, I'll let you come back to that. What's your point?
Is exactly the same which happened to Charlie Hebdo. I was very involved, very, very involved. Nobody wanted to get involved except myself on the television and the radio, and several thousand people in the stand and they spoke. It was what happened to the Charlie Hebdo. He shows the satire of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and what this country done, which I would love to ask the government to do exactly the same.
We are Muslims. How can you bring Charlie Hebdo into this when we are Muslims, Dr. Sheikh? We have a right to speak about our religion.
Going to bring it,
Dr. Sheikh, what planet are you living on? We are Muslims. We disagree with your view.
India, therefore, what we need to do, we need to be wise. We need to be wise and do not show it, because you intimidate the people. If you intimidate the people, for example, if a Shia person saw this, the Fatima radiallahu anha, which is in my heart, been insulted.
Dr. Sheikh, I actually agree with you on a certain point.
That's wrong.
Dr. Sheikh, I actually agree with you on a certain point. These radicals are saying, if you speak about X, Y, and Z, we will threaten violence. The response to that should not be, yes, let's not speak about X, Y, and Z so they don't threaten with violence or carry out violence. The response should be, stamp these guys out, let everyone speak about what they wish to speak about, as long as we abide by the law, as long as we don't threaten violence. That is the solution to radicalism, because then we move into a future where everyone is tolerant of everyone's beliefs. That is the trick.
Very lastly, Doctor, let me have the final question to you.
We are talking to our lawyers to get the defamation of the character for that, which is very important. That's why we're going. And again, you are doing something which the Shia radical will attack the Sunnis.
Look, I've got to be honest with you, Dr. Sheikh, can I right, stop. Right. Can I be honest with you? Can you understand why you might look a bit touchy about all of this stuff?
I'm touchy, but I'm not touchy. I'm saying the fact.
Not a bit.
And it's my way to saying it. I'm not touchy. I am saying the facts. And of course, what I'm saying it, my friend, you are supporting the other side.
I'm not supporting anything. I haven't seen the film. I can't see it because you banned it.
But listen, I have been at least 1,000 hours myself as a presenter. But you are touching. What you are trying to do is say, we want to have a
do anything. I'm trying to have a debate. I'm trying to have a discussion. I want to be educated about
it. But not freedom of insult.
Sorry, what was that?
I said we want to have a freedom of a speech, but not freedom of insult. The government.
Okay. So answer this question. Are you telling me that hundreds of millions of Muslims? Are you saying that hundreds of millions of Muslims need to remain silent about their beliefs to satisfy you? Is that what you're telling us?
No.
So let's put an end to this. Let's allow people to have freedom of expression, freedom of religion. UK permits this. You are not above the UK law. Thank you very much, Dr. Sheikh. All right, and have a lovely day.
It's wrong.
Yeah. All right, guys. OK, look, both, can I just say, Dr. Sheikh, honestly, I don't think I've had you on the show before. I would be more than willing to have you back on, and I appreciate we may well... like I said, I mean, look, I'm not a Muslim, obviously, so this is a lot less personal for me than it is for you. So maybe I'm being a bit distanced from this, but, you know, we might not agree on this, but I respect your right to be able to say your views, and I hope that you do feel heard as well. Look, obviously, mate, thank you very much for coming in the studio. Great to have you on the show as well. Look, guys, goodness gracious me, GBViews, GB News, but I'm going to read out a statement now from Cineworld that said, due to recent incidents related to screenings of The Lady of Heaven, we have made the decision to cancel upcoming screenings of the film nationwide to ensure the safety of our staff and customers. So that's their view, obviously. It's important we have to read that out, of course. Wow, well, that was one way to start the show. I mean, it's certainly a way to start your Friday night, isn't it, I suppose? But I do really think, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, all joking aside, that this is a very, very serious discussion. And my concern is, where does this end, OK? And I think that should be a big issue for us all, because it's not really about blasphemy, although I suppose in a literal sense it may be. It's about things like freedom of expression, and it's about things like your way of life, really, in a way, and that's quite big stuff as far as I'm concerned. So GBView, GBnews.uk. Malik is still in the studio with me, but thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate that. Anyway, right, so, of course, now, Challenge Christys, moving on, a shift in tone, people. Challenge Christys coming up very, very shortly. But first, here's a little brain teaser for you, OK? So get your heads around this one. How much did the world's most expensive ceramic sell for at an auction in Beijing last year? OK, so a pot, basically. 33.6 million, 24.4 million or 42.8 million. I will reveal the results of that very, very shortly. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was, in fact, a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Right, welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. Now, before the break, I asked this. How much did the world's most expensive ceramic sell for at an auction in Beijing last year? The options were 33.6 million, 24.4 million or 42.8 million. Very quickly, lads, my panel are back here. Peter Lloyd, quick guess. What do you think?
24.
24, Cowgate? I
think it might be 42.8.
So that sounds like he knows. Right, OK. The answer is... Oh, no, you're both wrong. The answer is...
You're too cute light to me.
The answer is £33.6 million or $41.6 million for this Chinese Imperial revolving Phoenix vase. I mean, good grief. Anyway,
bargain.
Yeah, I think you don't pay tax on stuff like that. Anyway. However, that record may soon be broken because, ladies and gentlemen, it's Challenge Christys time. Take a look at this. Yes, it's my favourite time of the week. It is Challenge Christys time. When you set me a challenge, I prove that I'm absolutely brilliant at it, always, of course. There are just 2 weeks to go now, just 2 weeks to go, until I take on the most daunting challenge of them all, when I dance with the Dream Boys, who, in case you didn't know, are a group of rampant male strippers. As well as giving you all a good laugh, I'm also, and it will be a laugh, it'll have to be, because you're certainly not going to be impressed, I'm also doing it for a very, very good cause. Now, I am raising money for the mental health charity Mind, and thank you so far to everybody who's donated. The current total, at our end anyway, is basically 17.5 grand. We're also doing it with a guy who's walking the length of the UK barefoot to set a world record. He's raised a few grand as well. So between the lot of us, we've got about 20-odd grand. The big total, though, we need to hit, we've got 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a push, is 50 grand. And I believe that we can probably do that, OK? So we're going to start ramping it up over the course of the next couple of weeks. I know times are tough, cost of living crisis, we're all a bit skint now, but please do give whatever you can. Simply go to justgiving.com/fundraising/Challenge Christys. So as it stands, we're on 17,545 quid. Can we get to 18 grand by the end of the show, people? Yes, I think we can, OK? Justgiving.com/fundraising/Challenge Christys. Mental health, of course, means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to a lot of people here watching this right now. And I promise you that your money will make a difference. You will save lives, OK? So please do, if you can, give us a few quid. But look, I've rattled the can enough now. It's time to show you what I've been up to. In the last weeks, I've been landing an aeroplane. I've mastered ice skating, apart from the times where I fell over, obviously, quite graphically. I even took on a professional boxer until he knocked me out after 30 seconds. The fight lasted, obviously, just a few seconds. This week's challenge was a little less physical. I mean, I've actually been told to stop it, frankly. But this week's challenge was a little less physically dangerous. Can I just say, this challenge has got GBNews written over it, right? And it's great. I love it. I absolutely flipping love it here. But we were supposed to do it last week in honour of our dear Queen and the Jubilee, right? Yeah, look, I know, look, lads, I know. Wait till you see it. But we couldn't get it out in time. So this is a belated, terrible present for our Queen. Here we go. Yeah, first. Yes, hello everybody, Patrick Christys here. Welcome to the latest instalment of Challenge Christys, where I attempt to do a challenge that you, my wonderful viewers, my wonderful listeners, my wonderful online viewers, have set me. Now, I'm in Kent today. The weather's lovely, glorious day for it. I've driven through what appears to be some kind of monastery, but to be honest with you, I've got absolutely no idea what I'm doing now. Huh? Turn around! Ah. Well, that clears that up then. OK, so Pottery it is. I've got my Pottery outfit on, of course, and I am here at the Aylesford School of Ceramics, which I believe is in Kent. Let's get potty. Hello, mate, you're on, Patrick.
I'm Bill.
Bill, good to meet you, mate. Oh, God, mate.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Sorry. You're absolutely disgraced.
Oh,
right, OK, we're off to a good start. So, you're going to teach me pottery?
I am. I'm going to give it a go anyway.
Right, I've got my clay, so I am just about ready to go. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, this thing just looks dead easy. I mean, I don't know what the fuss is about, to be honest with you, but anyway. So, Bill, you were telling me off air you're a world record-holding potter.
Yep, I made the most amount of pots ever made in an hour. It was 150 pots in 1 hour. Yeah, I'd had my free shredded wheat that day.
Yeah, fantastic. That's more pot than I did at uni. Basically, what we're going to try and do is initially, I think I'll have a go at this easy piece of work here, and then eventually we're going to try and make something, obviously, for our dear Queen in honour of the Jubilee. You're welcome, Your Majesty. Show me the ropes.
OK, so what? Electric foot pedal. Yeah. You're throwing your bit of clay on, and then you've just got to get it in the middle to begin with. So do you see the hands are not wobbling? Yeah. And then what you do is go in with thumbs, fingers, whatever you find easiest.
All right, mate, you buy me a drink first.
And then squeeze the clay in between those two fingers, and you see how it goes outwards?
Yeah.
And if you want to get fancy, you can add a little rim to it like that. OK, and then push the shape out a touch more like that. I'm sure you'll be a natural.
Okay, all right. Well, that looks remarkably easy. Although I will see how I do now, of course. But I mean, I think this is just a walk in the park. So shall I have a go? Plumb a ball.
That's it. That's a fantastic looking ball.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. It's not the first time I've heard that. Right.
Fantastic. Pat it down a little bit so it don't go flying off. Okay, that's your foot pedal down there.
Down here.
The further you press down, the faster you're going to go. Plenty of water on your hands.
Plenty more water, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and slap it on. Yeah. Both hands, right? Yeah, fine.
That's it. Put both hands around it.
Yeah.
Rest your arms onto your knees or that tray. Is this a present for the Queen?
Yes, it's going to be, yeah.
Okay, she's in a good mood when she says.
Oh, she will be. Look, it's a special day, and the Queen and I are mates.
Fantastic.
Right, okay, so let's stop this. So.
Glad I'm not one of your mates.
Right, okay. I don't get it.
You have to go in with your thumbs. But plenty of water still. There's loads in the tap.
Plenty of water, yeah, right, fine.
Okay.
That's.
And then in with your thumbs in the centre.
In with my thumbs in the centre. This is nice. Yeah. I'll just stick that back in there.
Could have gone better. Yeah.
Happy Jubilee, Your Majesty. It's throwdown time, okay? So my mate Tom here and I are going to go toe-to-toe, head-to-head in an epic battle royale, the likes of which has never been seen before. And obviously Bill is going to be telling us what he wants us to make for Her Majesty on what is, of course, arguably the most special day in this country's history. So toss me a bit of clay, mate.
First of all, the challenge is going to be an ashtray.
An ashtray. All right.
Fairly simple.
All right. I tell you what, I know she doesn't smoke, but after she sees this, she probably will. Right, yours is all right, actually. Okay, good. It's going well. It's going really well. I can feel an ashtray coming on here. Oh, here we go. Come on.
Here we go.
I mean, I suppose you could stub a fag out in it. Okay.
What do you reckon?
What do you think? Who's
1-0.
Who's won?
1-0. Come on.
This is a disgrace.
The second challenge is going to be making a mug.
What could possibly go wrong this time, Ed?
Oh no!
Yes! Get in! Unlucky. That's a. Oh, you hate to see it, can't you? You just hate to see it. Grief. In the edit, okay, they'll make it look like we've made a mug.
Okay,
yeah. So, do I need to just roughly look like a mug? Right, it's time to make my mug handle. So, I think really the important thing here is to just visualise who you're making it for, right? So I'm just gonna think about the Queen, really. You pinch it, yeah?
That's it, just squeeze it a bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, in between your fingers.
Like that?
That's it, like
that, okay, good.
I'm glad you didn't look at me while she was doing it.
Yeah, I didn't like the eye contact myself, to be honest with you. Okay, that's on. I think that's. She'll be absolutely over the moon with this. She'll be absolutely over.
Looks like a swan.
Right, okay. Your Majesty's mug. Who's won?
I think you're most definitely the winner.
2-0!
What I'd like you both to do is make an exact replica of the Queen's head.
Oh, an exact replica?
Exact replica of the Queen's head.
It's an honour to make the Queen an exact replica of the Queen's head. So, shall we crack on? We've got a minute. Give it a minute. Can you just time us, Bill? All right? Let's have it.
Let's go.
Okay. I'm going to just go straight in with a crown. Okay.
My one looks actually terrifying. Let's get over to
Oh my gosh. No, you can see her in that. There's the family reserve. That screams House of Windsor. I'm trying to think now. What does she really look like when you really visualise the Queen? What do you try to get in the zone? Think. Yeah. Just think, Patrick. Think. That's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Behold, Your Majesty. Okay. Right, so what we can see here, sorry. So as we can all see, these are two exact replicas of the Queen. And, I mean, I tell you what, I'm going to be proud to give her this, right? But the question is, who's won?
pretty appalling. I think maybe this one.
Oh, flipping heck, he's got the hat trick.
3-0. Oh, come on.
Have you?
Your one, it almost looks like she's been dug up.
Right. But that one will absolutely be fine, I think. We'll send her that. So we'll send her that one.
Send her that.
We'll send her that one. Oh, you know what? This will make the day really special for her. Yeah? So this one I could do, if I put it there, then you do the royal wave. Right, well, as you can all see, ladies and gentlemen, that is Challenge Christys yet again just knocked out of the park. You really are going to have to start challenging me at some point, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting a bit too easy, this, frankly. But, look, the whole time I've been here at this wonderful pottery workshop, there's been something on my mind. I've got clay in my mouth. Oh, I feel violated. Right, well, that was something that I did last week. So there we go. How did you find that, lads? Peter?
I mean...
Peter Lloyd, by the way.
All I can say is it's a bit of a conversation stopper, but you did Demi Moore better than Demi Moore did Demi Moore.
I felt that way while I was doing it.
I reckon.
This is Demi Moore's going to be gutted about this.
Yeah, I mean, if the GBNews things ever dries up, then Hollywood.
Hollywood, 100%. No, and you're not the only one who said that.
No, I'm just saying.
Can I get your views on that massacre?
You know, I would really like to talk to the legal department here. I'm amazed that was cleared before the watershed.
I'm not sure I've got one.
Well, that would explain it.
Yeah.
And, you know, can you imagine if that had been broadcast on the Jubilee weekend? I mean, republicanism she'd be gone by now.
Well, it's probably for the best that it didn't go out as planned last week, actually, I think, really. But
I think so, yeah.
Do you think we should send her any of that? She'd be delighted, do you think, Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, that'll do. Right, OK. Well, that was obviously a lot of fun, wasn't it? If you're listening now on GB News Radio, of course, you can go and watch that challenge right now on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and also on Twitter. So, there we go. Well, despite, obviously, me and Tom's efforts, a lot of people would argue the star of this week's package was actually Master Potter Bill Biles, and I am delighted to say that he joins us right now. We've come to you a bit later than planned, Bill. Sorry about that, mate. I hope you're keeping well. Look, thank you, mate, for being such a good sport, and an absolutely tremendous day that was. Do you think I've got a future as a potter?
Well, we all have to start somewhere, don't we?
Good lad. But on a serious note, well, not really that serious, but you know, so where you operate now, you've got a tremendous setup. I mean, people have got a glimpse of it there. Just talk us through it. Where is it? What's it called? How can people get on board?
Well, Aylesford Priory, and where you was were Aylesford School of Ceramics. It's been running for well over 20 years. It started off with about, 6 people coming on a Saturday morning. To be perfectly honest, we're rubbish businessmen, but people told other people, and now it's over 150 people that come each week.
Doing great stuff. And, I mean, I remember one of the things that stands out for me was when you said to me, we've had Antiques Roadshow here. This isn't anything like that. Well, it was different, wasn't it, for you, I imagine? Was it OK? Did you mind me turning up and doing that?
I didn't mind. I had quite a bit of laughter, I must say.
Oh, good lad. All right. Well, look, I'm so sorry that it's been so short and sweet. I've just been way over the time. I'm not the most organised person. You saw that firsthand. But thank you very, very much, mate. And give the name of your company one more shout-out, please, mate.
Aylesford School of Ceramics and Aylesford Pottery Limited.
Can I just say as well, to be fair, Bill's a great sport. And also... Oh, quickly, you've got a world record. What's it for?
Most amount of pots made in an hour, you know, it was 150.
And I've got one of them, actually, which I did mean to bring in today and forgot. So sorry about that, Bill. But, yes, fantastic stuff. You're an absolute legend. Thank you very much. And just cheers for having us round, mate. It was a great time. Really, really enjoyed it. So that was Bill Biles, of course. I mean, look, OK, well, there we go. Well, I mean, we're massively over time here, people. This hour has rattled through. So we're going to be introducing my panel again in the next hour. Sorry, chat's done a lot of setting so far, but email me at patrick@gbnews.uk if you decide that you want me to do a particular challenge. If it's not immediately obvious, I will literally do anything. So there we go. Right, OK, it's time for a quick break. But the good news is there's plenty more to come in Friday Night Feast. We'll find out why NASA have decided to study UFOs. We'll also meet our national treasure, and we'll tell you about a cow running loose down an American highway. It's highbrow stuff. See you in a few minutes.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast, quite probably the most mental show on telly. There's lots on the way between now and 9 o'clock. I'll show you the naked cyclist who gave the residents of Southport a right eyeful. I'll tell you what, if you're shocking the people of Southport, great. Anyway, we'll meet the stand-up comic who's giving lessons in comedy to vulnerable people. And, of course, there's Dog of the Week, ladies and gentlemen. And I must warn you that the backstory for this week's boy is a real, genuine tearjerker. Please give this dog a home. Well, we can't put him on the scrap heap with the others. Anyway, that's all to come in the next hour. But first, of course, here's the latest headlines brought to you this evening by the wonderful Ray.
Thanks, Patrick. Here's the latest from the GB newsroom. The Prime Minister has welcomed a High Court decision refusing an injunction to halt a deportation flight to Rwanda next week. Almost 100 legal challenges had been made against the government's policy, with lawyers arguing that the country is not safe, a statement that Home Secretary Priti Patel has denied. Around 31 migrants are now due on the first flight next Tuesday. However, the judge has granted permission to appeal. That may be heard as early as Monday. Sir Keir Starmer says his party will vote against the government's plans to override elements of the Northern Ireland Protocol when it's brought to the Commons on Monday. After meeting with political leaders in Northern Ireland, the Labour leader said he believes the deadlock over power sharing can be resolved through negotiation. The DUP is refusing to form an executive in protest against the protocol. Ukraine's foreign minister says they will work with Britain to ensure the release of 2 men sentenced to death in the separatist region of Donetsk. Aidan Aslin and Sean Pinner, both British citizens, were found guilty of mercenary activities by a court there. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss described the verdict as a sham. Boris Johnson has ordered ministers to do everything in their power to bring them home. Deputy Director for Research at Amnesty International, Denis Krivosheev, says Russia must respect the men's rights.
This is not a trial. There should be no decision which is called death penalty, which it isn't. And they should be treated as any prisoners of war under the Geneva Conventions. None of that is happening. That's what must happen. So cancel that decision. Don't pretend it's a trial, and provide them with their rights, which they have as prisoners of war.
A manhunt is underway after a teenager was stabbed to death at his home in Manchester. The mother of the 15-year-old boy was also treated for serious injuries and is now in a stable condition in hospital. Police have described the attack, which happened in Miles Platting, as ferocious. They're looking for an Asian man in his 40s who was known to the victims. They've warned the public not to approach him. A recording of an ex-soldier telling a 999 operator that he'd killed his neighbours has been released.
Neighbour's been stabbed by who?
By me.
By you?
Yes.
Jurors at Bristol Crown Court heard the clip where Colin Reeves admitted stabbing Jennifer and Stephen Chappell to death in November last year. Other footage appears to show the neighbours clashing over a parking space taken 10 days before the ex-commando killed the couple at their home in Somerset. Reeves has denied murder but admitted manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. On TV, online and on DAB+ radio, this is GB News. Now let's get back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Right, well, as I was saying before the break, here on Friday Night Feast, we're raising money for the mental health charity Mind. Well, you are raising the money, really, and you've raised so far, thank you, everybody, £17,545, which I think, chaps, deserves a bit of a round of applause. There we go. Yeah, so well done, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. Honestly, it does mean the absolute world, and I really, really appreciate all of your support. But I'm delighted to say that I'm joined now by Paul Farmer, who is the Chief Executive of Mind, which is the charity that we are raising money for. Paul, look, so sorry to keep you waiting. I know you were supposed to be on about 20 minutes ago, but this show, to be fair, mate, is absolute carnage. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks, Patrick. How are you? Thank you so much for your support for Mind, and I have to say, that pottery, pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean, we decided on reflection not to send any of that to the Queen. But look, you know, there's a very real thing here. Obviously, we like to keep it light on this show, don't get me wrong. But an issue that's very close to my heart is male mental health. And earlier this week, we'll be going out next week's show, I did actually walk barefoot through the woods, I'm going somewhere with this, with Nathan Dunn, who is walking from John O'Groats to Land's End barefoot, setting a world record. He's a friend of the channel. We've synced our kind of fundraising accounts, I suppose, really. So, and look, he's been very open about his previous mental health struggles. I think, you know, frankly, if more people were, perhaps, then we might be in a better position. But you guys at Mind are desperately trying to just save lives, really, aren't you? And I'd like you to just talk to me a little bit about what Mind does.
Yeah, exactly. So we're Britain's probably best known mental health charity, and we support people across the country to improve their mental health. And it's as simple and as difficult as that, really. We're here across, we have 110 local minds which support people with a whole variety of mental health problems. We do work in schools, in workplaces and in communities. And we also try to make sure that these conversations, the conversation that we're having tonight, that we're having across the country, really helps raise that profile and that understanding for mental health. Because for far too long, we've been suffering in silence, you know, and particularly men. I'm really glad that you're talking about men's mental health, because it's such an important issue and it's something that we pay a lot of attention to. And without the help and support that Mind's able to give to hundreds of thousands of people across the country, many people would really struggle with their mental health. So it's really important work, and it's work that we need voluntary donations for. So thank you so much to the GB News viewers for really showing your support for your incredible efforts, Patrick. It's a great effort, it really is.
To be honest with you, mate, I mean, the effort that I've done... yes, I mean, the effort that I've put in is certainly nothing like what Nathan Dunn is doing, literally walking barefoot across the UK. But he reached out to you. So it might be worthwhile you knowing. I'm sure that at some point we'll get you back on and I'll get Nathan on as well, because we've got a few weeks left to run on this, Paul. But he was stood on top of a bridge. OK, you won't mind me saying this. We've spoken about it on air numerous times. He was stood on top of a bridge and he was in a bad way. And he tossed a coin. And if that coin had come up heads, he would have jumped off that bridge. But it didn't. It came up tails. And the next day, he got in touch with Mind, and now he's in great shape. And that is literally a direct human being that you can point to, Paul, and say, Mind saved his life. And I just would like you to... Well, I'd like to ask you, really. We do have a mental health crisis in this country. Apparently, every single day, 12 men take their own lives, and suicide is the single biggest killer of men under the age of 45, from what I've seen. What would you say to anyone watching this now who's struggling?
So it's so important to do three things, really. First of all, find somebody you trust, a mate, a member of your family, a colleague at work, and find a quiet space to have a conversation, because bottling it up is often one of the reasons why, sadly, people do end up thinking that suicide is the only option for them. Secondly, go and come and seek help from Mind, like Nathan did. It's really great to hear that story. And in fact, this afternoon I was with our colleagues on our information line, which is available to anybody to be able to contact us. And we hear time and time again the difference that Mind support makes. And there's lots of other mental health charities providing help and support as well. But last year, we had nearly 20 million visits to our website from people who needed help and support. So you're not alone. You really can get that help and support. And then thirdly, if you think you're really concerned about your mental health, if you're beginning to feel the signs, spotting the signs of your poor mental health, maybe you're having issues sleeping, maybe you're drinking too much, maybe you've got problems at work or in relationships that are really bugging you, then do go and get help from the NHS. The doctors are there, the GP's there, go and see your GP. So it's really important to seek that help. And as you heard from Nathan, Nathan's story is one of many, many people who did find that help and support. Their life was saved. And we can make a difference. We can reduce the numbers of people who take their lives. We can reduce the number of people who have mental health problems, but only by being more open about it, only by really reaching out and seeking help and support. And we're learning a lot more about how to do that, be better listeners, be really able to listen to our friends who need a bit of help and support every so often. And, just don't struggle in silence, reach out and seek help, because that can make all the difference.
Paul, thank you so much. Thank you for waiting around. I know we kept you waiting for a little while there, but I'm really, really glad that you stuck around, because, Paul, you are, and what your charity does and the people who work for you or with you do is make a real difference. And thank you so much. And, next week as well, we're going to be putting out the conversation that Nathan and I had as we were just walking barefoot through the woods, obviously, as part of his trek. And the point of it is to get men talking about their mental health. And I think I was certainly very moved and found myself, once you start talking, it's quite easy, you open up, don't you? And I think that's quite important, really. But, Paul, thank you so much. Paul Farmer there, of course, who's the CEO at Mind. I'm going to bring the panel back in now, Peter. Sorry, it feels like ages since I spoke to you, actually. But, look, we don't want to get too heavy about it, I suppose. But, I mean, there is a mental health crisis, specifically, really, a male mental health crisis as well in this country, I think, isn't there? And it's important. We need to talk, don't we?
We do, and I actually know this firsthand because I've lost two friends to suicide, two male friends to suicide. So I've felt it in real time, and I've experienced it personally. It's my lived experience, you might say.
Your lived experience, yes, of course, yeah. Yeah.
But as much as we talk about men having to open up and talk about their feelings, I think actually society needs to take responsibility for this as well. Yeah. I think if society was less hostile to men and to masculinity and didn't constantly berate them and make them feel like crap, maybe, just maybe, fewer men would feel like they need to kill themselves.
Cracking point. Calgie, obviously we're not going to get too deep and meaningful here, people, all right? And by the way, happy Friday night, everybody.
Great time at home, guys.
Let's talk about depression, but no, seriously. I mean, we need, people need to be more open about their feelings, don't they? Do you think, or not?
Well, you know...
Depends what those feelings are, I suppose.
Depends what those feelings are and what I'm doing. But, no, I do broadly agree. I mean, I've actually experienced the NHS provision of this fairly recently, and I found it to be absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
I went to the GP, God, what was it, about 2 months ago, and sort of asked, what was it? And was essentially given a course of cognitive behavioural therapy, which is now just no longer offered in person. So after the pandemic, and I checked this because I wanted a face-to-face thing.
Yeah, of course.
What you essentially get is a PowerPoint presentation that lasts for 6 weeks.
Oh, for goodness' sake.
6 weeks or 8 weeks, and then it's over, and you've got to go to the GP if you're not fixed. And I just think this is absolutely bonkers, and we're not allowed to criticise the NHS, obviously. Oh, sorry, our NHS.
Yeah, no, of course. In fact, I'm going to clap for it. Yeah.
But I was just so dispirited that, not only does it take, a year to get a GP appointment now, you're essentially offered a sort of university course in the theory behind
teach yourself
therapy. And I just thought it was absolutely pathetic. And I sort of gave up with it after a few weeks because I just thought, it's just not doing anything for me. And these are the sort of frontline issues that politicians have to address.
Well, they are. Blimey, can I just say? I mean, if you weren't suicidal before doing that course, then you would be afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was after watching the pottery making.
OK, all right. At least it wasn't me with my top off. That is in 3 weeks' time. So there we go. Right. Yeah. All right. Flipping out, you can come back any time you like,
Patrick,
Peter.
Just kidding.
I'll review your fee.
He's ripped under this. Honestly, he's ripped.
It's like a blancmange, like an off blancmange. Anyway, right. Just look very quickly, and we'll rattle the can one time more. It's justgiving.com/fundraising/challenge Christys. Right. Let's move on from that and talk about aliens. OK, so now to another big news topic. That's right. The truth is out there, they say, and NASA have decided to try and find it. Yet, if you're sceptical of UFO spotters, it may be time to change your mind now that the world's premier space agency are starting to take the matter a lot more seriously. So NASA are planning to gather data on, quote now, events in the sky that cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomena from a scientific perspective, UFOs, right? Anyway, so they added that there is no evidence that unidentified aerial phenomenon are extraterrestrial in origin, but they would say that, wouldn't they? Of course. What do they know? Anyway, right, joining me now, I'm delighted to say I can welcome now space journalist Andy Lowndes. Yeah, that's the stuff. Andy, thank you very much. Welcome, Andy. Is this NASA study big news in the space journalism world?
Yeah, NASA have decided to take a look at this seriously now. I mean, the United States have looked at it before with a project called Blue Book, which was run by the US Air Force, which, to be honest, was a bit dodgy because it was a way of poo-pooing what people were seeing in the sky. But a group of NASA scientists have wanted to actually look at this more seriously from a scientific point of view, and then realised they're going to get a lot of stick for this from other aspects. And one of the other aspects has been, you say UFO, what are you going to think of? You're going to think of one of these, aren't you, really? That's not what a UFO is. It is something in the sky that we can't clearly identify. And I think the way it's been portrayed in many ways, partly through movies and things like that, and apart from everything else, it sort of switched people off as to what they could be looking at. Because we could be looking at new forms of phenomena, new atmospheric activity, new types of physics we could be looking at, which hasn't been properly identified before. And the NASA scientists said they need to proper look at this and take a look at all these events. They're not going to be looking at the secret military stuff. They're not going to get access to that. But they're just going to look at the data sets, if you like, and actually break it down properly in a true scientific manner to see what we're looking at. Because this is really quite important. Because the whole point of science is to study nature around us by observation. We're the greatest voyeurs in the world, scientists. Our job is to look at things. And unfortunately, this subject, I mean, I'm actually have been investigating 3 particular UFO cases for several years in Birmingham. And it's brought me in contact with a variety of people. And some of these people really have no understanding what science is. And therefore, we really need scientists to take a look at this and perhaps get a true handle on it that could actually get to some truth and get rid of all the hyperbole.
What's happened in Birmingham, Andy?
Well, there's a particular sighting which was spotted by 3 independents. My mother was one of them, strangely enough. My mother was non-scientific. But years later, I found on the same period of time, the same object was actually observed by a group of people, including a former RAF intelligence officer, which I'm afraid is a sort of observation which is rather good. And then I found a third group of witnesses that seen the same sort of thing. So I'm trying to coordinate at the moment to find out exactly what they've been observing. It coincided in 1973 with the test flights of a spherical drone, which was shown at I think it was at the Farnborough Air Show. So it could actually be that was being tested over the region. But it is interesting to actually get into the scientific area of it. Yeah. But what is interesting, it brought me into contact with UFO societies, and they sent photographs and they sent all sorts of reports, and they tried to put a scientific meaning on it. And you thought, these people actually have no idea what science is. They talked about magnetic flux could obviously be seen. You wouldn't be able to see magnetic flux. It doesn't work like that. No, and therefore, you really need true science to have a look at these things.
Look, Andy, thank you so much, mate. I know it might have been a bit short and sweet, but it's a fast-paced show. We've got to keep it moving. Andy, it's not the first time I've spoken to you, and it definitely won't be the last. Andy Land there, of course, space journalist. Peter, leaving UFOs.
I'm not sure, but all I will say is if aliens did come down to this clown planet, this clown world, they would stay here for about 20 seconds, think, those people are nuts, and then they'd leave.
I mean, certainly if it was Birmingham. I mean...
hang on. We're the People's Channel. You're on the People's Channel, Calgary, and you desecrate our second largest city.
Yeah.
How dare you?
It may have been a flying kebab or something, you know. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to get into space journalism. I mean, I'm wasting my time in Westminster.
You are.
You know, we could be investigating, you know, Birmingham, the new Roswell.
Yeah, and it's about time someone put Birmingham on the map. I mean, I'd actually love to go to space, though. Would you?
Actually, I would. I'd love to get a break from all the BS that's happening at the moment. Just a bit of peace and quiet. It's like, I don't want to hear anything from Joe Biden. I don't want to hear anything from Keir Starmer. I'd love to just be rocketed up into space and be left in peace.
Yeah.
Ideally with a Guinness.
With a Guinness, which someone will presumably open for you in a second. But there we go. Calgi, I mean, gosh, he's absolutely ruined the studio. OK, so the Guinness has exploded.
Like a pro. Look at that.
Like an absolute pro. Well, there we go. Anyway, from one space cadet to another. So yes, would you like to go to space? Do you think UFOs exist? Do you think UFOs exist?
I believe statistically it is more likely aliens exist than not. I don't believe they'd necessarily visit this planet with such esteemed representatives as we have here.
Send him up.
But yeah, I'd rather go to Mars than Birmingham, so...
Good grief, he's done it again, ladies and gentlemen. It's our second largest city. Anyway, OK, right, so coming up after the break. Picnic-stealing dogs, a sandwich that sparks a brawl, and naked cycling in Southport. That's right, but enough about my Saturday night. It can only be round your parts.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was, in fact, a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Round your parts coming up right now, but it's time for Patrick's hat trick actually immediately. So, where I show you 3 videos, OK, that they've caught my eye this week, and we start with a fantastic clip from last Sunday. So, as residents on a London street were celebrating the Platinum Jubilee, they were treated to their very own display from the Red Arrows. Well, sort of. Have a look at this. So for our radio viewers, the thing is, I've just had it in my ear, like, for the people on radio, just describe what that was. And I'm not sure I know how. So it's a man on a bike with some gas coming out of his backside that's a bit red and a bit blue and a bit white, and it looks like the Red Arrows.
Just say it was art.
It was art.
How did they receive the pottery?
Where? What?
Did they just hear the audio version?
Oh no, we'll just make them watch it online later. Yes, OK, all right, Calgie, keep your mouth shut. Right, so now to the United States, where the police found a novel way to apprehend a runaway cow on a busy highway. So footage filmed from a helicopter showed how a cowboy came to the rescue. So, if you're watching on GB News, obviously, you'll be able to see that the cow got away from 2 wagons that were trying to block it in. But then, of course, the cowboy rides to the rescue and manages to lasso the runaway animal before eventually bringing it to a halt. Well done, cowboy. I mean, that's good stuff, to be fair. I mean, that's cool. Cowboys are cool, Calgie, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most controversial thing that GB News has ever said, no?
No, it's not, absolutely. But anyway, we'll give it time. Anyway, right, finally, here's a video that will strike a chord with all of you who like to have a bit of a drink. So, I'm talking about you, Christian. Yeah, there we go. Right, anyway, it shows a groom and some wedding guests enjoying their first and last drinks of the day. And it's fair to say you can really see the effect the booze had them. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Trev. This is my first drink. I am Trev, the groom, and this is my last drink.
Hi, I'm Holly. This is my first drink. Oh, sorry. Where am I going? My name is Holly. This is my last drink of the night.
Hi, my name is Simon, and this is my first drink. I said last drink. It's not really. This is Simon, and this is my last drink.
Fantastic. So I tell you what, that looks like the after party for Friday Night Feast.
I was going to say, that's like us before and after.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
The drinking jibe was in the auto cue. It wasn't even ad-libbed.
No, someone else wrote that.
Prepared an insult.
Your reputation precedes you. Right, that's what it is.
The only sober one on this panel, ladies and gentlemen.
I wouldn't go that far. Right, OK, so anyway, obviously, Peter, that's pretty much you every day, isn't it?
Yeah, after about midday, yeah.
After about midday?
Yeah.
Like Nancy Pelosi? Yeah, but you can't say that on telly. Right, OK, so now it's time for Round Your Parts, where we dig deep to find some of the absolute gems of local news. And we start in Norwich, obviously. And the sad story of the university students who had their picnic stolen by a couple of dogs. So PhD student Khadija Azif and her friend were setting up a picnic when, according to the Norwich Evening News, so you know it's good, 2 dogs slobbered all over their food. I mean, good grief. She says that the dogs then bit through the cling film and even stole condensed milk. Will they stop at nothing? Dogs in Norwich. Anyway, to Hull now. Oh, we're doing a cracking tour of the UK here. To Hull now. And this is one of the kind of those tales, really, where the headline does a great job of just kind of painting a very vivid picture, setting a scene. OK, so woman assaults 3 people and reverses car into fence during drunken rampage in row over sandwich. Yes, you love to see it. This is the tale of a woman who turned up at the Ship pub, important to get that right, found a darts match going on, proceeded to allegedly steal a sandwich, assault 3 people and crash her car in the car park. But Calgie, how is your mum getting on?
I was just having to check the location. I went to Hull and I don't not believe it for a second. You know, it must have been a good sandwich.
It must have been a good sandwich, yes, absolutely. Have you ever been thrown out of a pub, Peter?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah?
I was thrown up a pub about 3 months ago.
Yeah?
Actually. Yeah.
I was almost certain you were going to say no. I just thought you were going to say no.
I'm pathologically honest, so I can't lie. But yeah, it was me and my best friend were ejected from a pub in Muswell Hill.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you know, I suppose.
But the bar is low in Muswell Hill.
The bar is low. Did you have trousers on?
Well, for you, the bar was closed.
Yeah, no, I did, yeah.
OK, good stuff, I won't ask. OK, right. So the next story around your parts is... Well, it's great news, everyone. It's great news. It involves nudity. That's right, so 2 naked cyclists have been spotted riding their bike through Southport, and guess what? They could be coming to a town near you soon, you lucky, lucky people. So, the Liverpool Echo reported that a nude man and woman rode a tandem through the town centre last Saturday. There's a joke in there somewhere, but I won't make it. You'll be delighted to know that here at GB News, we've done some digging. We leave no stone unturned, OK? Proper news. And we can reveal that they are called Colin and Sadie. At least I hope they are, otherwise I imagine now they're going to sue us. And we can see them there. If you are listening on radio, look, it's 2 naked old hippies on a bike. That's what that is. Isn't that illegal? Sorry, but... That is illegal.
Well, no, it's not, because it is the London Naked Bike Ride tomorrow in London, starting at Marble Arch. Right. Thousands of people are going to be cycling naked. And it is not illegal, I learnt this, it's not illegal to be naked in England unless you are causing offence. So the very act of just being naked on the streets is not illegal.
Hang on.
So, you know, have fun, Patrick.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because... So I suppose it's down to whether or not you're so ugly that you cause offence.
You've gone so awkward.
Well, it's because I'm about to get naked. The reason is, mate, because
next Friday.
I'm about to get naked on stage with the Dream Boys. So, I mean, yes, apparently I might now be a criminal. But, I mean, would you ever do anything like a naked bike ride?
No.
Have you been to a nudist beach?
Yes.
Oh, I have. I went to one.
Yeah, I've been to one. And I'm not
full of fat old blokes.
All I will say is that is the very first time I've ever felt sorry for a bike.
Oh, here he is. There we go. OK, good stuff. Right, now, if you're watching GB News on TV or online right now, of course, you can go and check out those naked cyclists, but apart from the bits that were blurred out, of course. But they're riding, apparently, from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise awareness for rewilding. So that's that, then. Anyway, right, we stay with Liverpool now, of course. Liverpool Echo, good paper, Liverpool Echo, actually, for our final story this week. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Milky Bars are on me. That's right, a thief who was caught by Merseyside police after stealing chocolate, including, yes, you guessed it, Milky Bars. And the police couldn't stop themselves poking fun at him, apparently. As they said in a statement, this Milky Bar kid wasn't strong... Oh, they've mugged him off. This Milky Bar kid wasn't strong or tough enough to escape despite his best attempts. They weren't good enough. I mean, look, you've nicked the geezer, right? He's stolen some Milky Bar. You don't need to mug him off on the way out.
Do you know what he should have done? He should have identified as a woman, and then he would have got away with it.
Which law is that?
Yeah, no, of course, because if you're a woman... I don't know, sorry, Cal, you ripped behind the times here, because if you're a woman, you can't be done for chocolate theft.
Is that... Well, Willy Wonka will be fighting that one.
Willy Wonka will be mortified. No, but you are right, though. There is a bigger point here, though, because actually
Big
women...
criminal sentencing gap.
Exactly.
Men and women with the same criminal backgrounds can commit the exact same crime in the exact same circumstances, and pretty much always women will get a lighter sentence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where are the feminists?
Where are the feminists? I demand to know. I demand to know. Oh, yeah, right, there we go. So there's lots more on the way in the final part of Friday Night Feast. Found out if I could fool the great British public. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be really good, OK? I promise you this much. So we always do something called fake news, OK, where I go and just lie to the British public, really. And I take real pleasure in, once I've finished lying to them, not telling them that I've just lied to them. So people have gone away thinking that aliens have landed. All sorts, really. And my favourite was when I said an asteroid was about to hit Earth. People probably changed their lives because of that. But anyway, this one is much, much better. We actually conducted our own protest outside a cinema in honour, really, of what's been going on at Cineworld. This week, of course, I got a hand from my wonderful production team. We'll also meet another national treasure, and it's Dog of the Week as well. So stay tuned. I'll be back right away.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
with honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GBNews,
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
On Mark Dolan tonight, in the big question, if Boris goes, is it game over for Brexit? Reacting to the big stories of the day, my all-star panel, including radio legend Neil Dr. Fox. My Mark Meets guest is comedy legend Duncan Norvell, famous for the catchphrase, "Chase me, chase me." He was recently cancelled by a comedy venue. Find out why at 10. In my big opinion, I'll be dealing with Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream giant, lecturing Britain on its borders policy. We've got a lively show for you. You won't want to miss a second. See you at 9.
Welcome back, everybody. So, time now for Fake News Friday. And this week, my production team, they just played an absolute blinder. Can I just say quickly, this is not in the auto cue, by the way. The team that work on this show are the best in the business. It's unbelievable, right? The dedication and the effort and the hours that go into the show. I'm not just saying that, I mean it. So, yeah. Right, I guess there is a first time for everything. In response to this week's Cineworld climb down, they staged a fake protest outside View Cinema, of course, in Shepherd's Bush. So, they were angry that the new Jurassic World movie, and we're all angry about this, aren't we? The new Jurassic World movie is depicting dinosaurs unfairly and also desecrating the story of our human origin. Just for a bit of context, OK, what's currently taking place outside Cineworld cinemas is the fact that there's a new film that comes out that depicts the Prophet Muhammad, of course, and indeed his daughter, from what I understand, and it's kicked off, right? So we thought we'd do our spin on it. Take a look. Well, as you can see, I'm here outside a View Cinema in Shepherd's Bush, and people are absolutely livid. I mean, you can almost taste the outrage and the anger here, actually, from everybody, and it's quite a massive issue. What they're saying is Jurassic World is this film. It's launching today, actually, as it happens, and it's about dinosaurs. And I think we can all agree that's deeply offensive, and it basically questions the entire origin of humanity, doesn't it, really, in a way? Did dinosaurs exist? Did they not, you know? And people are saying, no, they didn't, and it's offensive to everything that we hold dear. And so they want the film banned. Let's go and speak to one of them. Sorry, why do you want this film banned?
Not a single dinosaur appears in the Bible. This is complete hogwash.
Right, OK, fine. I mean, well, do you think you'll get the film banned or not?
I think we can. I think we're going to drum up enough support. This is just the beginning.
Why does it mean so much to you?
It's just a bad film. It brings lots of bad ideas into the world.
And what does your sign say? Let's have a look at this sign. Don't be a prat. Now, what's Pratt got to do with it?
Chris Pratt has been in too many Hollywood films lately.
Gosh, yeah, I mean, we can all agree with that. Let's have a look at some of these signs. It's a Jurassic farce. Let's have a look now, hang on. Don't diss Diplodocus or whatever. Yeah, fine, good stuff. Let's have a look at this one as well. What does this say? A Tyrannosaurus wreck of a film, ladies and gentlemen. We're Tyrannosaurus vexed? Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I think, you know, look, this lot are obviously incensed. I think it's time that we took this higher up. Well, there's only one thing for it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to go and speak to the management. I mean, the people outside are absolutely livid. I think we all are. It's questioning the entire origin story of humanity. I mean, it offends everything that we hold dear. So, let's try and see if we can speak to the manager, shall we? Get this thing sorted. Right, mate, you're right. Is it possible to speak to, like a manager at all or anything? There's quite a lot of protests outside at the minute, right? And it's not your fault, of course it's not, it's about a certain film that you're showing at the moment, and people are quite angry about it. It's Jurassic World, and they're saying that basically, I know, right, and they're saying that...
Jurassic World. I heard it's the woman in heaven.
Yeah, no, there's another protest. It's Jurassic World, and they're saying, the problem is, because Christians obviously don't believe that dinosaurs existed, it was all, you know, there's no dinosaurs in the Bible, are there? And I was just wondering whether or not you guys are thinking about cancelling the film.
Not to my knowledge.
But you think really that you're not going to cancel the film? Because they are absolutely livid out there.
Are they here outside?
Oh,
now?
it's kicked off.
I don't think they will. It's too much money to lose if they cancel it.
And it's almost a bit ridiculous, really, anyway, isn't it?
It's just a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We have a T-Rex. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, straight from the horse's mouth. There's no chance whatsoever, it seems, that they're going to cancel this film. I mean, despite the massive offence that it's causing to people right outside this cinema right now, and goodness only knows how they're going to react when I tell them this news. Look, guys, I've got some news for you, right? I've just spoken to management. They're not going to cancel the film. How do you feel about that?
That's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah?
Should be banned.
Should be banned.
Yeah, oh, yes.
And it means a lot to you, this, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm very, very passionate about dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you feel?
It's absolutely devastated.
Gutted.
Disrespectful to dinosaurs.
Goodness gracious me. Well, you...
Absolute disgrace. Should be banned 100%.
Yeah, no. Absolutely. No, I know I spoke to you earlier. I mean, you out of everyone here, and there's loads of them, out of everyone here, I think you're the one I was worried most about breaking the news to, really. How do you feel?
It's just all this work. Just all this work.
For nothing?
For nothing.
Nothing?
No.
No. And how do you feel about the fact that clearly, they don't mind about offending you?
It just makes you wonder what it's all for, you know? Like, we can't enjoy walking into the cinema anymore without being offended. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's shambolic.
What's the world coming to? Yeah. I mean, really, I think I speak for us all when I say this country's gone to the dogs.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
As you can see, protesters here everywhere, you can't move them. They want to get Jurassic World banned, okay, the film banned, because obviously, I mean, there aren't any dinosaurs in the Bible, are there? They're saying it questions our entire origin story. How do you feel about that?
Why not? Save the animals.
You'd ban the film, would you?
Yeah.
Ban it. And do you think that's just the right thing to do?
I think it's the right thing to do, yeah.
No.
Why not?
I don't see any problem with showing something that technically wasn't in the Bible. It's a movie. Everybody knows that dinosaurs no longer exist. We know through science that they did exist in the past, and I don't see any problem with that.
I'm not sure.
No?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, I've put you on the spot a bit, but do you think maybe they should ban the film? Maybe.
They should.
Maybe they should ban it. Do you think it's if full people with placards are offended, then we should just ban it?
No, they shouldn't. Because the kids learn from that in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to this lot then? I mean, they want it banned. Would you say stop it?
No, they should stop it because the kids, learn from it. They have books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they wish to do whatever they want, they have their own rights. They have yeah.
But do you think should the cinema actually ban it though? Ban the film.
If some people like this, if they want to ban, I don't mind to ban the film.
I think everybody has to believe what they believe.
So would you cancel the film? Because that's what they want to do.
No, same as I wouldn't cancel the Cineworld film up in Leeds.
So there we go. We've spoken to this lot, of course. We've spoken to management. We've spoken to the public, and the reaction is very clear. We've got to ban this film. Well, there we go. That was something I did earlier today. I must say, this office is nuts, and I think that kind of just sums it up, really. But, Christine, obviously, I've known you for a little while now, and I know you're pretty gullible. Would you have fallen for that?
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, the quality of the props.
Oh, everything.
The acting.
Yeah.
The camera work. Talent. It's Spielberg, really, that wasn't it?
No, look, I would say
the film itself.
It's Oscar-worthy.
Oh, yeah.
It's Oscar-worthy. But there is a bigger point here, lads, OK? There is a much bigger point, because actually, clearly, just the fact that 4 people stood outside a View cinema in Shepherd's Bush with puns about dinosaurs written on it was enough, was all the convincing some people needed to cancel that film.
I know, it's depressing.
It's nuts.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's testament to the fact that a lot of people are really, really dumb.
They are. But
I'm sorry, I know that's not a PC opinion to have, but a lot of people are really dumb. Honestly, they really are. They really are dumb.
I mean, how do you feel about this idea now that, well, it's not far off mob rule, is it?
Well, again, it goes back to that thing earlier we said that there are huge amounts of people who don't care. And there are there are very, very noisy, tiny pockets of people who care hugely on both sides. The problem is that the Cineworld, various corporations, they only ever give in to one of the noisy minorities. It's never shared equally across, is it? So that's the frustration that free speech activists, actually, it's a much more thought out ideology, isn't it? It makes sense. It's what this country was built on, and yet every single time it seems to, the extremists seem to win it.
Yeah, look, I agree. Do you think we're too afraid of offending a certain element of our community?
I think the public are increasingly more resistant.
You don't strike me as someone who minds offending people.
I mean, I don't try to offend people, but it's just, unfortunately, the truth now is increasingly offensive. I mean, that's not my doing, but... I think the public are increasingly more confident in resisting wokeness, but corporations and businesses, they are increasingly cowardice and craven when it comes to this kind of thing.
Absolute nightmare. 4 people on Twitter say something, and before you know it, it's been banned. In case you are wondering who these 2 wonderful voices are, if you are, of course, listening on radio, it's Peter Lloyd and it's Christian Calgie, and I must say, chaps, I'm absolutely loving this panel. You both could have to come back on, but it's time now for Dog of the Week. That's right, yes. He puts the wag into the Wagatha Christie trial, that's right. And I suppose you would not have to be barking mad to give this dog a home. That's right, it's time for the wonderful Kobe. So Kobe is 2.5 years old. He was living in Scotland, but his owner, who was a trustee for Paw Prints to Freedom, sadly passed away. I must warn you, actually, this story's a little bit of a tearjerker, so be warned, yeah. And so he's now at the charity's rescue centre in Nantwich, which is near my neck of the woods, that actually, Cheshire Way, isn't it? Near yours as well.
My sister lives in that neck of the woods.
Nice part of the world, Nantwich. Anyway, there you go, as Kobe will no doubt find out. But anyway, he has a couple of friends at the kennels, which is lovely, isn't it, that he loves to play with, and so he could potentially live with other dogs. Good stuff, yes, because every single week we come on and it's... I can understand why, but basically every other dog, it's always like... got to be on their own. OK, fine, but this dog can live with other dogs, so it's already 1-0 Kobe. Right, Nina Hasbury is a charity trustee at Paw Prints to Freedom and joins me now. Nina, thank you so much for joining us. Right, sell Kobe to the nation.
Well, apart from his really sad story, bless him, he's just lovely. He's been at the kennels now for around about 4 weeks, so he has been pretty nervous to start with. Obviously it was a bit of a shock for him just to be kind of taken out of his home and his owner's no longer there, but he's doing really well. He's a really lovely boy. He's really settling. He loves the girls. He's really sort of getting on with the other dogs. He loves to go out in the paddocks and play with his toys, so yeah, I think he would be a great addition to any home.
Just out of interest, when you say he loves the girls, has he been neutered, or does that not matter?
No, he has been neutered, yeah.
Well, to be fair, that's a cracking effort. He still loves the girls, he's got something about him. I'm a fan of Kobe already. So Kobe's gone on a walk, is he?
Yeah, he walks really well on the lead. He's really calm. He's not too reactive. He'll say hello to the other dogs. He goes out on group walks with the other dogs as well, and he's all good.
And just, look, I know that you kind of alluded to it earlier. Would you mind telling us a bit about Kobe's backstory, please?
So, Kobe he's been over in the UK about 2 years. He's over from Romania. He was originally with an adopter, but sadly that didn't work out. And then so he went to our lovely Carol. He was with Carol for just over a year. And then sadly, she passed away quite suddenly. So he was he really was just wrenched out of his home, and everything turned upside down for him. So to be doing as well as he is doing is really good.
Absolutely. And do you think he'd probably be all right around kids?
We said maybe older children, so maybe 12 plus, just calmer. He's still quite nervous, so smaller children can be a bit too much for some of our dogs sometimes.
Well, they're too much for me, frankly, actually, which is why I don't have any, as far as I know. Anyway, but Nina, if people want to get in touch with you, if people are shouting at their TV screens now, they're shouting at their radios, they're watching YouTube and they're going, goodness gracious me, how do I get my hands on Kobe? How do they do it?
So they can go onto our website, which is www.pawprints2freedom.co.uk. We also have our Facebook page, which is Paw Prints to Freedom. The Rescue Centre also does have its own Facebook page, which is Paw Prints to Freedom, Our Safe Haven. And then obviously we have Twitter and we have Instagram as well. So you can apply through any of those outlets.
Well, look, can I just say thank you very, very much, Nina, and thank you for coming on at what is pretty late doors, really, on your Friday night. We appreciate it. You obviously really, really care about Kobe and, indeed, all the animals that you look after. And fingers crossed, someone watching this right now can get in touch with you and hopefully Kobe gets that wonderful forever home that he deserves, undoubtedly. Nina Hasbury there, of course, charity trustee at Paw Prints, easy for me to say, to Freedom, who was trying to rehome Kobe. Dog or cat man, Christian Calgie?
I used to be terrified of dogs, and I sort of learnt to understand them. I mean, I remember very vividly, I was on holiday in France once, and, the French sort of we sort of think they raise their dogs in a bit more of a, a sort of guardy way, and this sort of massive dog I must have ran half a mile and jumped into a swimming pool to get away from the thing. But I'm sort of all right with them now.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Everything okay?
A lot of past trauma.
Gosh. Well, look, thanks for making it through and getting into the studio. Dog or cat man? Or not? You're cat man.
Cat every time. I mean, it's so funny. I was out with my friend the other week and we were walking back from the pub cats were coming out to greet me in my street.
Sorry, what?
I'm like Dr. Dolittle or something. It's crazy.
You are mad old cat woman.
Yeah, I'm like the equivalent of a mad old cat woman.
I think you should have gone for cat man. What I mean, yeah. There's a song in that somewhere. But, so gosh, wow, that will explain all the cats outside the office.
I'm really sorry about that. I can't control it.
All right,
I can't control it.
Look, you've either got it or you haven't.
I'm like the Pied Piper, aren't I?
You are, of cats. Well, hang on, yeah, to be fair. Well, there is a river outside as well. Anyway, right, it's time now to meet our national treasure, and it is Angie Belcher, who's a stand-up comic who puts on comedy courses to help vulnerable people build their confidence. Good stuff. I like this one already. And the comedy on referral courses are so successful that they're being prescribed by NHS trusts, apparently, and private practices all over the UK. And, yes, there she is. Angie's on the show right now. Now, our national treasure always gets a clap on the way in and a clap on the way out. So well done. Yes. National treasure, you are indeed... Excellent. Well done, Angie. Right, OK, so you're comedian in residence at Bristol University. Good grief. And I'm delighted to say, obviously, yes, you are on the show right now. Look, how does it feel to be a national treasure, Angie? Oh, no! It scared the living life. It's scared her off. She's so shocked by being national treasure that she can't talk, bless her. Unbelievable stuff. Would you ever do stand-up comedy, Calgie?
Oh, if I was drunk enough.
Yeah, fair enough. To be fair, I've heard you bout out Les Mis.
Give me another 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, indeed. OK, right, well, that's that then. But basically, Angie was clearly a very lovely woman who's doing a lot for charity, and another round of applause for our national treasure. Angie, fantastic stuff. I mean, literally, what do you make of that? No, OK, all right, I'm joking. No. But this is kind of the point. We did want to kind of give unsung heroes, right, a bit of a show, because, look, there's loads of great people in this country, but I kind of wanted to highlight, obviously, it's the kind of thing that Angie's doing, but also kind of like the woman who's been like a lollipop lady for 70 years, never had a day off. That kind of person, right, really. Do you ever do anything for charity?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Oh, good. Go on.
I do. Well, I have regular donations that go out every month. But I've done, like, walks and races and runs in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like, obviously, it's a sense of giving back, Calgie, whereas you've got a heart of stone, haven't you?
I did a sponsored silence once in year 4, lasted 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
So I always wondered...
That's my position in heaven.
So I had a lad at school who was a mate of mine, and his parents suggested that he did a sponsored silence at school, which I thought kind of, when your own parents going, just shut up.
We will pay you.
Shut up. We'll pay you to shut up. Anyway, here we go. Angie's back. Angie, are you there?
Maybe, hello.
Yes, Angie, look, sorry about that. Obviously, that was really, really bad timing on our part. But thank you so much for sticking with it. And you are, of course, our national treasure. Explain to everyone what it is that you do.
What?
I've got a really bad connection. I'm hoping you can hear me, yeah?
We can hear you. You talk now. Yes. Good grief. Oh, well. OK, right, bye, Angie. That's enough of that. So there we go. Angie, anyway, of course, who is, I believe, the comedian in residence at Bristol University. I'd imagine Bristol University would be too woke to have an in-house comedian, but...
Well, it depends what the comedy is, I guess.
That's fair. That's fair.
Disappearing actors.
Right, we're moving on from that now. Right, so there's loads of people, obviously, who've been getting in touch. So thank you so much to all of you who've been desperately, basically, trying to email in. And also the challenges, right, that I see before me right now. A lot of you are challenging me to do, well, quite a lot of stuff that's illegal, actually. But can I just say, there's something I'm doing on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. You thought it was good when I landed a plane, OK? This time... I'm doing a loop-the-loop.
Wow. I thought you were going to do a crash landing.
Well, I nearly did, actually, to be fair, which is why we're not allowed to do that anymore. That's why this week I did Pottery. But can I just do a cheeky little plug, because we've only got a couple of minutes left on the show, everybody. I hope that you're all getting ready to either go out tonight now or have a fantastic weekend. I really appreciate you all tuning in. This show has got basically a bit of a cult following. I mean, there's no justice in the world. This show has now got basically a bit of a cult following, OK? And... Did
you say cult?
Cult, yes. Important, because if I said the other thing, we wouldn't have a show anymore.
Right.
But this is, like, I just want to say how much I appreciate you all tuning in and viewing in and messaging in, because, look, it's bonkers, it's nuts, it's absolute carnage, but I think we all quite like it, don't we? Anyway, right, so... yes, I just wanted to finish really by asking you chaps who've been on my panel. Peter, you're a Friday Night Feast virgin. Mm-hmm. Will you come back on?
If there's Guinness.
Yeah, there'll be Guinness. There'll be loads of Guinness. Calgie, will you come back on?
Oh, I've loved you taking my virginity, and it'd be a pleasure to be back again soon.
Fantastic stuff. Right, has anyone got a taxi for Christys?
Taxi for Christys.
Well, unfortunately, it's that time to go. This show's absolutely flown by the way. But, of course, this was the week that Prince Louis gave Boris Johnson his own vote of no confidence. That's right. In case you're listening on radio, basically, that was Prince Louis swearing at Boris Johnson. Prince Louis, by the way, is wild. I mean, he's off his nut, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit of a rock star, isn't he?
I love it. I love it. Anyway, right, OK, so it seems like Her Majesty is also having doubts about the current Conservative administration. So, yes, I'll say a skit on the Paddington Bear stuff. Anyway, one taxi customer got more than he bargained for when he was told that he would be greeted outside by none other than Muhammad Ali. That's right. I mean, fantastic. Yes, I mean, it'd be an interesting journey, wouldn't it? But I suppose maybe you'd get there in the end. Yeah. And this, of course, was also the week when we got a glimpse into the future. The year is 2050, and Rafael Nadal has just won his 42nd French Open title. You love to see it, people. Well, that's it from me. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much to my wonderful panel, Christy and Calgie, of course, Peter Lloyd. Great to have you both on the show. It won't be the last time, I'm sure. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Mark Dolan will be on in a little bit, so there's no need for you to go anywhere. Stay locked into GBNews. People, have a cracking weekend. Love you lot. See you soon.
Hello again, I'm Aidan McGiven from the Met Office. A windy weekend in store, especially in the north. Showers, especially in the north, but some bright or sunny spells, especially in the south. a real contrast across the country from the north and northwest towards the south and southeast, because low pressure, an unusually deep area of low pressure, is edging close to the northwest of Scotland. Lots of isobars on the charts showing strong winds for many, but the strongest winds will affect northern western Scotland as well as Northern Ireland. Gales around exposed coastal areas and some persistent rain moving through overnight. Now, further south, there will be 1 or 2 showers in western areas, but actually plenty of clear spells, and it'll be a mild night for many, with temperatures by and large holding up in the double figures. But in 1 or 2 sheltered spots in the far south, if the wind